People don't realize that small changes accumulate to big results across time. You talk about in Take Control of Your Diabetes Risk that it's patterns that matter. And if people can make even small changes to their eating habits, sleeping habits, exercise habits, if people lose a half a pound a week, think about it. People lose a half a pound a week, and there are 52 weeks in the year. That's 26 pounds. That's huge.
It is, and I say it all the time to patients, and you compound that with, as we get older, most people gain weight because your basal metabolic rate, kind of that internal furnace, slows down. So you're automatically going to gain weight because you have less output just by your activities of daily living. But Dr. Phil, people are like, but I need to lose weight, for an upcoming wedding or for an activity. And then they only do it for that. And then often they regain the weight. Nobody wants to think about that strategy that I tell people, you know what? I care less about where you are 2 weeks from now, as opposed to where you are next year, where you are 5 years from now, where all of your friends are going to be 20 pounds heavier and you're going to be 10 pounds less. That's success.
I've seen study after study that people that go on diets gain more weight through the year than people who don't go on diets at all.
It's absolutely true. It's the same thing for diet soda, that study after study has shown that people often gain weight on diet soda. And there's a lot of speculation as to why that is. Part of it is you overestimate the calories that you save from a soda. So that's why we joke you get the hamburger, the French fries, and you say diet soda. It clicks it all out. It doesn't work that way.
I want a banana split and a Diet Coke.
Yeah. So it's okay.
What?
But it is about, having that plan and holding yourself accountable.
Yeah. If we can just decide, okay, we don't need to panic here, and we don't need to jump tall buildings in a single bound.
Absolutely right.
We just need to recognize, okay, we're coming out of the pandemic, and because we've been more sedentary, because we've gained some weight, because we're 2 years older, there's never a better time to manage our diabetes risk, to manage our overall health than right now.
Right.
And like I said, we don't need to panic. We just need to say, okay, let me choose 4 or 5 things that I'm going to fold in to my lifestyle pattern for the rest of this year, recognizing that the rest of this year is going to go by whether you're doing something about it or not. September's going to pass, October, November, and December, whether you're doing something about it or not. So you might as well be doing something about it. And when we're talking about diabetes, you said some things in Take Control of Your Diabetes Risk that just jumped off the page at me. You said that nearly 95 million people are pre-diabetic, and that 34 million people have diabetes. That's 1 in 10. So if you take the 95 and the 34, you're talking about 130 million people.
Almost half of Americans have it. You know what's even more startling, Dr. Phil? Out of that 34 million that have type 2 diabetes, 20% don't even know it. Out of that 95 million, 96 million people that have prediabetes, nearly half don't even know it. So here they are, have disease, type 2 diabetes, at significant risk for developing it, and they may not even know it. That's even more concerning because that's going to get worse.
That's 6.8 million people with a disease that puts them at risk for heart disease, cancer, amputations, blindness, that don't even know they are afflicted.
Kidney disease, a major cause of end-stage renal disease. Diabetes is serious. And if people don't take control of their risk for it, the complications are going to come. I find that many times with patients, they think it won't apply to them, right? I'm not going to be the one that gets it. Everyone that has high cholesterol doesn't get, a heart attack. I won't be the one that gets it's diabetes if I have prediabetes. You know what? Actually, you probably will, because most people develop some complication.
And some people don't want to know because it's like the C word.
Mhm.
They, I hate to go get
Yeah.
this test.
I call it FOFO, fear of finding out.
Yeah,
They don't want to know.
exactly.
They don't want the
Yeah.
test. They don't show up for the test. I've had many patients do that. They
That's
don't
great,
show up.
because that's exactly what it is. But here's the thing. You do want to know this, because this one you can manage. This one you can get under control. This one you can reduce the risk of complications because you can manage this disease.
You know what's interesting about that, Dr. Phil, is people don't want to know because, and rightfully so, it can change their life, right? It's life changing. And what we're talking about is that early on, you can change some aspects of your life. So it's not a shock to you later. If you develop diabetes and you think, I need to change my life. That's why people don't want to know it.
I was teasing you earlier about, we do everything and it's boring. And you were saying it really isn't. It doesn't have to be at this point. Here's the thing. If we say, all right, look, you guys are going to pound on me till I do something. And he's right, we are. So you might as well just give in. There's no better time than right now. And we're not asking people to join the Marines.
Right.
We're just saying, let's make 4 or 5 changes that people can live with, and they're not going to have to feel like they're being punished or deprived. That's the important thing. Don't get depressed because we're not asking you to do things where you're going to feel punished or deprived. Let's talk about 4 or 5 things that people can do that are not punishment. They're not feeling like, oh, my life's over. I can't go to a party. I can't do this. I can't do that. One you mentioned is to start drinking water instead of all the other things that you drink, which mostly would be sodas, which is probably 90% of what people drink besides water. And these frappuccino, cappuccinos, double
loaded
mocha,
with sugar.
Those things, the calories on those things are astronomical,
500,
right?
700, 1,200 calories. Some of those Ventes, those extra large ones. Alcohol as well has a lot of calories. People don't think about it.
But those frappuccinos, that's just like going and getting a milkshake, right?
Absolutely. That's why people find them tasty.
Yeah.
But then what happens often? You feel tired later on. And that's because your blood sugar shot up and then it came back down. And now you're hungry again. That's the problem with all of these. They just promote weight gain.
And when you take in a big sugar shot like that, the net effect is it makes you hungry.
That's right, because your blood sugar goes up right away and then it crashes down later and then you're craving another sugar load and you're hungry. That's what a lot of carbs do as well, in terms of they don't promote what we call satiety for our listeners, that you feel full. And that's what protein does. That's what some healthy fats do. They make you feel full. That's why when you eat a handful of nuts, you get pretty satisfied easily, versus that's why you can't stop with one chip. There's a lot of reasons why that is. The sodium, but also you don't feel full with it.
Because there is a satiety center in your brain. It's in the hypochondriasis, right?
That's right.
And by the way, from the time you ingest something and it gets into your stomach, absorbed and into your blood, into the satiety center, is anywhere from like 8 to 12 minutes.
That's right. And that's why you want to eat slower.
Yeah.
Because you want your stomach to stretch, to send those hormones, those signals to your brain that I'm full. So that's what's tricky about, what we used to call dashboard dining, eating in your car, eating super fast. You don't get that signal that you're full.
Yeah. So that means if you're still eating when you feel full, everything you consumed in the last 8 to 12 minutes, you didn't even want. Okay.
You certainly didn't need it.
But seriously, if you're taking your last bite and say, oh, I'm so full, I can't take another bite. You overran by 8 or 12 minutes because it takes that long for that last bite to get around to you. So you could have stopped before and gotten to the same place you are now. So eat slower is a huge part of it. But if you eliminate all of those drinks, with that many calories, that alone can make a substantial difference, right?
I've seen it time and time again with patients. And I've heard it from them. I even give the story in the book how a woman says to me, I don't like water. I'm like, really? What's wrong with water? I knew what she meant. She wanted that fizzy feeling. She wanted that fruity feeling. I actually convinced her to try sparkling water and then do regular water with lemon and lime. And she has lost a significant amount of weight just by beverages. Because we really don't think about when we're counting calories, which I'm not a big fan of. We forget that there's so many calories in beverages, and you can just drink and drink and drink and drink and consume so many beverages because you're not getting that satiety, that feeling full signal.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about coffee and unsweetened iced tea.
Okay.
How do those register?
Good news about coffee is that it is consistently shown over time that it can help reduce the risk of diabetes, help reduce the risk of cancer and even heart disease. Now, what I'm talking about is regularly brewed coffee, not the mochachinos and other ones, typically around 2 to 3 cups a day, which are the old cups that our parents might have had, right?
Yeah,
not the super large, tumblers that we're drinking. And the reason why is that many of these have powerful antioxidants, and it's probably due from the coffee bean. And antioxidants is actually a good word. So what happens, particularly as we get older, we have these things called free radicals. And as you know, I'm from Washington, D.C., that sounds like it'd be a good thing. You're free and you're a radical, but it's actually bad because they cause clots, and that causes strokes and heart disease. But antioxidants help wipe up these free radicals, and therefore you reduce your risk of these other diseases. But it's really about 2 to 3 cups. And the studies have been done when you haven't been loading it with sugar and milk and all the other things. So 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day are pretty good. And tea. Just a recent study about black tea. Most of the tea has been green tea, where they've shown it also has value as well. Those are always going to be better choices.
I drink black iced tea.
I see it.
And I don't put anything in it. It's just straight water and black iced tea. No sweeteners, no sugars, no artificial sweeteners, nothing.
I saw it before you came in. I was going to test it to make sure. Yeah.
So that's okay.
Absolutely.
I get to keep that.
You do.
All right.